U.S. Vice President JD Vance has confirmed that the agreement with Iran was signed electronically over the weekend, saying the deal is now in place and no financial relief has been released to Tehran, adding that won't change. He also said the full text of the agreement will be released this week.
Well, we already signed the deal digitally yesterday and there's been no money released, and that won't change, George. Again, this is a performance-based thing. If we see the Iranians making, for example, taking action to eliminate their stockpile of enriched material, then yes, sanctions relief will follow. If we see the Iranians taking action to allow the kind of verification regime that we need to see to know that they're not going to build a nuclear weapon, yes, sanctions relief will follow. So this is really about walking down a pathway here where the Iranians will be welcomed into the world economy if they do the right thing.
Separately, U.S. President Donald Trump said ships in the Strait of Hormuz are starting to move, with many vessels loaded with oil, describing the route as safe, secure, and pristine. Iran's foreign ministry says it will seek ratification of the final agreement through a United Nations Security Council resolution after a 60-day period following completion of negotiations with the United States on its nuclear program. It added that the final agreement is expected to be endorsed by the UN Security Council after this process. On the details of the framework, Iran says it will not impose tolls in the Strait of Hormuz but will instead charge maritime service fees for navigation, environmental protection, ship insurance, and related services. At the same time, Iranian officials say the United States has committed under the deal to release Iran's frozen funds abroad and provide compensation for damages sustained during the conflict, calling both points essential elements of the agreement. JD Vance has also said the Strait of Hormuz is expected to remain open and toll-free in the long term. He added that Iran's foreign minister and parliamentary speaker will represent Tehran at the signing ceremony in Switzerland on Friday, while noting that several key details of the deal are still being finalized. In Lebanon, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said the country will intensify efforts to secure the complete Israeli withdrawal from its territory and the release of prisoners following the announcement of the U.S.-Iran understanding. He said Lebanon hopes the agreement will help end the war, halt killings, destruction, and displacement, and allow displaced people to return safely and with dignity. He also thanked those who contributed to the outcome and said reconstruction efforts would be strengthened, saying it has resulted in a comprehensive ceasefire across fronts, including Lebanon. It warned Israel against violating Lebanese sovereignty or targeting civilians, and thanked Iran for insisting that Lebanon be included in any arrangement to end the war. On the European side, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Iran must fundamentally change its behavior before any EU sanctions can be lifted. She said sanctions remain in place to bring about real and verifiable change on the ground, and can only be lifted if that change is achieved. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said the agreement between the United States and Iran could help stabilize the global economy and noted that Lebanon must also be part of the broader outcome of the deal.
Ich begrüße sehr, dass sich die Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika und Iran auf ein Friedensmemorandum geeinigt haben. Zu diesem diplomatischen Durchbruch gratuliere ich Präsident Trump und der iranischen Seite. Ich danke allen Partnern, die mitgeholfen haben, dies zu ermöglichen, namentlich Pakistan und Katar. Das Abkommen kann den Weg nun zu einer Erholung auch der Weltwirtschaft und einer Stabilisierung der Region bahnen.
In Israel, Benny Gantz, head of the Blue and White Party and former defense minister, called the agreement a strategic failure, warning it could have long-term consequences for Israel. He said Israel must not accept restrictions on its freedom of action in Lebanon or any withdrawal that endangers northern residents. In the United States, financial markets reacted positively to the announcement. Wall Street opened higher after the deal was announced, with oil prices falling by around 5%. About 15 minutes into trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1% to 51,703.60. The S&P 500 gained 1.5% to 7,544.90, and the Nasdaq Composite climbed 2.4% to 26,518.12, as investors reacted to easing geopolitical risk.